Well, with things official now and the Rockets securely locked into the fourth place seed, I think there's a few things that we should talk about. First of all, the Rockets losing to the Thunder on Tuesday night could be bad for the Rockets for a couple different reasons. First of all, it might cost James Harden his shot at winning the MVP. I was listening to the Bill Simmons podcast about a week ago, and he was talking about how close the MVP was in his mind, and that how he was waiting until the very last minute to decide who is going to end up being the MVP. Well, one of the things that the game with the Thunder showed you, especially in the fourth quarter, was the Harden did not take over in that game. And if there are other MVP voters out there who are also waiting down to the wire like Bill Simmons, that last game with a chance at the 2 seed could sit poorly in voters' eyes. For instance, if the MVP is so close and there's voters out there that are differentiating their votes because Giannis has more dunks than Harden, some people will be just as petty to think that one game could be the reason why James Harden will not end up winning the MVP. So that could be a factor in Harden losing some votes because he surely didn't gain any votes on that game against the Oklahoma City Thunder. He can only lose them. The other thing that happened in that game was you let yourself hope and pray that the Timberwolves, who were starting a JV team, were going to go out and beat the Denver Nuggets. While they almost did, they almost beat the Denver Nuggets. They ultimately did not, which dropped the Rockets from the 2 seed all the way down the 4 seed. Now, the problem with that, while you're not overly concerned with who you play in the first round, you should be concerned with the Golden State Warriors, who you will face in the second round if you get past the Utah Jazz. And that should be terrifying. Um, if you're the Rockets, you're thinking whoever wins between you or the Golden State Warriors is going to end up going on to the finals anyways. But you were hoping to delay that match, that game, as long as possible. Now it will come in the second round. Now, this is if the Rockets will even get out of Utah. Um, the Utah Jazz are a better team than they were last year. The Rockets beat the Utah Jazz in 5 games in the second round last year, and it really wasn't that competitive of a series. But this year, the Utah Jazz will be a little bit better. And the thing with the Rockets is they are not the same defensive team they were last year. While the Rockets have been riding high of late, mostly that's because of James Harden. The Rockets around James Harden are not really that great. Austin Rivers, Kevin Fareed, Nene still plays a large role in this team. The Rocket Daniel House, who was in the G League earlier this year. The Rockets are not a good team outside of Clint Capella, Chris Paul, and James Harden. Maybe PJ Tucker. We'll throw PJ and Tucker in there. They got a decent four, but the bench is not going to be very deep. You've got Gerald Green, who is hot or cold at times, and in the playoffs last year, he was not always a very reliable figure. This year, the Rockets are going to face the Utah Jazz, and one of the reasons the Utah Jazz were not a formidable foe last year was because they did not have Ricky Rubio. Now the Utah Jazz are a much healthier team, and you're getting the second year of Donovan Mitchell, who has played very, very well this year. The Utah Jazz match up fairly well with the Rockets, and it'll be a very interesting series. While the Rockets took care of them in 5 games last year, and that was because the Rockets were a much better team, this could extend to a sixth game, and it might go 7. I don't think it'll go past 6 games, though. That's just my personal opinion. Um, but I think the Rockets should be a little bit more concerned up front with Utah Jazz than they were last year. One of the matchups I am instantly looking forward to is not James Harden versus Mitchell and the scoring battle that those two will go on. I'm looking forward to the defensive battle between Clint Capella and Rudy Gobert. One of the things that I really loved with the Rockets last year was just how Clint Capella seemingly dominated Rudy Gobert. It was beautiful to watch. I will be ecstatic if that can happen again. Clint Capella played monster. Was a monster for the Rockets in the playoffs last year, and if the Rockets can get that same Clint Capella, this will be a very fun series for him. And we're always looking for the continued growth of Clint Capella. And so, early thoughts: Rockets in 6 games. It should be a fun series. But the Rockets want to get this done as soon as possible because you know that second round matchup with the Warriors is going to be hella tough, and it's something that the Rockets need to really, really, really prepare for. So, good luck to the Houston Rockets, and it'll be fun to see. Don't we all love beating the Utah Jazz? It's going to be great.